Hello, hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, and we are back in Rizia with King Romus, Taurus, that's us. This is Suzerain with the Rizia DLC. We're about to continue the story. I think we're getting pretty close to the end here. The war with Palais down here is just going awful. They are overrunning us. We've got problems on the international stage with sanctions and possible military intervention. Rumburg did provide some aid. My sister-in-law provided some aid, but it wasn't the boots on the ground I was kind of hoping for. So that's not going to help at all. We've got unrest at home. We are facing discontent inside House Toras. But we did just get married. We married our war minister, Lucida Azaro. So that made me happy, I guess. So what's going forward here? There's a lot of different endings you can go through with Suzerain. I don't remember the exact number the developers said, but they are all based on previous decisions. The story plays out as you decide things. It's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure type of thing. Decisions matter. I've been saying that through the whole series, and I made some of the wrong ones early on. So this is the story of Romus Taurus as controlled by me. So let's get into the next phase of the game. Find out what happens here. Oh, we got -14 budget per turn. So we are flat-ass broke. Our energy reserves are just about gone. But we got lots of we got lots of authority. So let's find out here. The Prince. All right. Let's read the newspaper. Zille reunites with Rizia. A triumph of perseverance. After decades of Wayland occupation, Zille is finally reunited with Rizia, so that's a step in the right direction, marking a historic moment for the kingdom. Despite encountering significant obstacles, King Romus's perseverance was instrumental in guaranteeing that the crown successfully reclaimed Zille, securing its rightful place within Rizia. The long-awaited reunion is a symbol of the king's commitment to the kingdom's prosperity. As the flag of Rizia flies over Zille once more, citizens celebrate the restoration of unity and sovereignty. Obviously, one section of the story does not really take into account any of the other sections. So we got Zille back, which is cool. Order breaks down as street battles erupt. Protests against the monarchy have turned violent in Izza, with the city authorities unable to maintain any semblance of order. Street battles have erupted between anti-monarchy demonstrators and ultranationalist Suomina, resulting in multiple casualties. Smoke is constantly rising from the city center as buildings routinely are set ablaze. So that's not good. Former oil workers declare autonomous town. Sounds like a revolution there. Former workers of the now shut Nelvisar oil field have stayed organized thanks to the yearly galas in their honor. Yearly galas have seized control over the Nelvisar town hall and declared Nelvisar an autonomous commune where no government forces are welcome. Authorities prepare for another mass demonstration. This is our capital. Authorities in the capital are scrambling to organize a response to yet another mass demonstration against the monarchy that is to take place there in the coming days. With protesters expected to arrive from all over the country, this could be the biggest one yet. I bet they wouldn't be protesting if I'd done better in the war. Speaking of which, Palais infrastructure collapse. Request for help from the Pelesian population. The ongoing war has left Pele's critical infrastructure in ruins due to bombings. I don't know who was doing the bombings because I didn't have any. And military engagements. Most of the military engagements are now in Rizian territory. Vital facilities, including water treatment plants, power stations, and transportation networks, have been severely damaged, causing widespread service outages, with many fearing a humanitarian crisis. Let's go the humanitarian route. Maybe that'll work in my favor. Open the corridors for international humanitarian aid. There we go. Wow, there's a lot. It's all off the map, too. More news. Rizia allows international aid into Pele. That it does. Energy crisis, as we have none. Oh, this went to shit pretty quick. Alright. Grand Duchy of Pele. Pele calls aid insult to injury. Well, fuck you then. I'll take it back. Should have gone with the blockade, you ungrateful cretins. The Pelesian government has called plans to deliver humanitarian aid to its civilians an insult, saying that instead of lobbying for aid, the international community should support an immediate ceasefire and an end to airstrikes on civilian infrastructure. Not sure who's doing those airstrikes, but whatever. Let's see. Final board vote on MITs. See what this one is. In Swordland. Outcome of the Swordland bond investment. Oh, yeah, we did. We invested some in Swordland here. Approximately 4 years have passed since our strategic investment in Swordland's economy recovery bonds. Wow. The global economy has witnessed numerous fluctuations and changes during this period, affecting Swordland's economic rebound. Now it's time to assess the financial outcome of the bonds. We win or lose nothing. Okay. We lost battleships. I didn't even know we had any. Alrighty. Once again, our helicopter touched down in the Meftium International Trade Zone. Elena winced as she descended the steps from the sand to the sandy ground. The trip was quicker last time, or was I just younger? She pinned a strand of gray hair behind her ear as we began walking towards the MIT's headquarters. Ready for the final vote, Your Majesty? Remind me again, how much do we have riding on this? Do you think our proposal is a good idea? Well, admittedly, it's unlikely we'll find any new gold sources in Rizia in the near future, which is troubling because a large percentage of our economy still depends on gold. So we have vested interest in making sure the proposal we agreed on with Morella goes through. And it would be nice if I could remember what that was. See, there is an option around here, right here, where you could take notes. Whoops, that's not it. Neither is that. Anyway, there's an option around here where you can take notes. I think in future playthroughs, maybe Season 4, I will do that. I'd advise you to think about how we can maximize our returns, even if it costs us an international partnership or two. We're already a pariah on the international stage, so why the fuck not? I fully intend to come out of this building with both our gold income and our international relations intact, Miss Warner. Rizia is anchored in gold. The more of it we have, the better. Damn the consequences. Our relations with all of our MITS partners are already fragile thanks to the war. I don't want to do anything to upset them. I'm going to listen to her. Damn the consequences. That was Her Majesty Queen Liza's mindset as well. We kept walking until we reached the entrance of the headquarters. We were about to enter the building when Chancellor Emerit Hagel and the rest of the Volgish delegation walked past us. Hagel looked me in the eye and nodded in greeting, his expression unreadable. Let's see if we can pin him down. He stopped in his tracks. One moment. The aides quickly readied a side room for us. We stepped in and sat across from one another. Still planning on voting the same way, right? He looked at me sternly. Don't worry, Mr. Toras. Everything will go exactly as planned. What will it take for you to give me some extra assurances? I don't think he's really in the mood. That's all I wanted to know. He gave a curt nod and we left the room. Lena cornered me as we came out of the room. Well, Your Majesty, what was that about? None of your business. No time to explain. Let's get to the vote. Alright, I'll refrain from prying further. We were ushered into the main conference hall. Lena split off for her seat as I was led to one of the 4 podiums on stage. Alvarez gave a gruff nod of acknowledgement as I took my place next to him. Greetings, Mr. Alvarez. Hello, Your Majesty. We're not really good friends anymore. There was a squeal of feedback as Alma Sultana tapped on her microphone. The reporters, executives, and various delegations in the conference hall snapped to attention. My brothers and sisters, we all know what this is about, so I will get straight to it. Several years ago, the Republic of Morella began an initiative to bring the resources of the Meftian Basin under the stewardship of our state and our people. Unfortunately, not all stakeholders agreed on this new direction for the trade zone. But, after several rounds of negotiations, we were able to come to a compromise that preserved the MIT structure while introducing new measures. The new agreement includes some changes to the size of our partners' shares, but rest assured that nobody will be going home empty-handed. Well, almost nobody. An aide approached Sultana with a briefcase. She opened it and took out a single piece of paper. The amended Meftian International Trade Zone Agreement of 1957. From henceforth, it is agreed that the share of the MIT's previous belonging to Volksland will be transferred to the Republic of Morella. Higher wages and stronger labor environmental protections will be implemented immediately. I don't remember any of that being part of the agreement. I thought we were supposed to get Volksland's. Oh, that's Lesbia. Why is Volksland getting... Oh, okay. Yeah, alright. Kind of remember. The other half of the trade zone will belong to Rizia. There we go. Alvarez scowled and folded his arms. Each MITS partner must now grant his or her final vote on the approval to the proposal. The Republic of Morella votes yes. Lesbia votes no to this unfair sham of an agreement. It was my turn. Kingdom of Rizia gladly approves this proposal. Both Sultana and Hegel gave satisfied nods. Thank you, King Romus, Chancellor Hegel. The Volkslandian Chancellor cleared his throat dramatically. I have a feeling this is about to go sideways. The Republic of Volksland approves this proposal. Maybe not. There was a round of polite applause. Sultana smiled in obvious relief. By a 3-1 vote, the renegotiated agreement of the Meftian International Trade Zone will be implemented. This is a momentous occasion. I thank you all for joining us here today, and invite you to stay for celebrations. I caught Elena's eye. She was applauding proudly from the front row. Prime Minister Sultana waved at all of us to join her at the podium for a photograph. We will do that. Alvarez and Hegel stood on either side of us as she held up the new contract for the cameras. The lesbian prime minister spoke into my ear in a voice so low only I could hear. The gloves are off now, Your Majesty. Good luck in Palais. He's going to intervene. Don't forget to smile for the cameras. He kept a rictus grin on his face as the shutters clicked all around us. What do we have here? Yep. Let's read the newspapers. Quinal's Anti-Piracy Summit, the united effort to combat rising piracy and maritime security concerns. I will scroll slowly so you can read that. I honestly don't care. Walker wins Arcasian election, stabilizing Ventry City in economic stagnation. The recent Arcasian election has come to an end with the incumbent Dwight Walker narrowly winning re-election against Charles Devereux of the Reformist Union Party. Devereux's campaign was notably sponsored by the prominent private military corporation, Cerebus International. With a margin of just 5%, Walker's victory has brought a sense of stability to the Ventry City. Yep. Go ahead and read that. MIT successfully renegotiated. Something pertinent to our story. All that other stuff is part of the original Suzerain base game. Once again, if I remember, I will link to Seasons 1 and 2, where we played as Anton Rain of Swordland. Alright. Let's start over here in Celebes. Sazon heckled during speech. Merida Sazon, a minor noble from the El Nors region, was heckled as she attempted to address the protest aimed against our government in Celebes. The protesters accused the Sazons of failing to achieve meaningful change through opposition and demanded a more revolutionary strategy to deal with the king. Monkeys. Rioting targets entertainment district. Multiple casinos, high-end restaurants, and wellness resorts have been damaged in rioting against our government in Monkeys. After the rioters were dispersed from Palace Toras, their initial target, the angry mob, turned to the entertainment district as a symbol of wealth and inequality. Mass protests encroaching on Port Drazan. As mass protests erupt in Porte Drazan, the government faces a critical situation demanding swift action. The nature of the government's response could significantly influence both the public sentiment and national stability. Various strategies are being considered to address the unrest, ranging from imposing strict measures to offering conciliatory gestures. Let's announce mass pardons, deploy the special security force, or declare a curfew. And I lose 5 authority by declaring a curfew? Conciliatory gestures might be in order, but I don't really want to get overthrown. There we go. We'll go that way. Country relationship updated. Hostile. With an overwhelming military, we may not have to worry about our own people overthrowing us. Let's read the news here. What's this? Order. National destabilization. Small pro-Rizian movement. Rizia has a loyalty problem, but kings show resilience. Our beloved Golden Kingdom is brought to new heights by the Toras family has significant problems with loyalty. A ragtag bunch of contained the radical left, the Malianists, the anarchists, the agitators, the looters, and people who in many instances have absolutely no respect for King Romus or ruining this country. It sounds like a lot of people. These people have no values, no sense of loyalty, so our rag, the Royal Herald, is on our side. WHR voices concerns over protest death. The Watchtower of Human Rights has called out the Rizian government after scores of people were killed in anti-king demonstrations by government forces. The Human Rights Group also mentioned that it launched investigations into alleged forced disappearances and calls upon the Rizian king to refrain from further violence against the demonstrators. I'll think about it. Oh, that's way off the map. Let's do this here. Tens of thousands of worshippers expected. Rukist communities across the country have called upon their members to attend a planned mass prayer at the Plavo Sanctuary. Prayer, although religious in nature, also expected to address political issues. 12 killed as security forces open fire. Security forces stationed to maintain order and prevent mass. We just read about this. 36 people were killed. Wow. Yeesh. That's not good. What's this here? Kingdom of Rumburg. Oh, we get to have tea with Queen Bee. The grandfather clock in the tea room at Brambleton Manor let out a series of deep, resonant chimes. Queen Beatrice had invited me to her countryside retreat in Dateford for a one-on-one talk, but she hadn't filled me in on the subject. Reflecting on how the war in Palais was dragging on, however, I had an inkling of what she wanted to talk about. I looked down at the table in front of me. A white porcelain plate and teacup were surrounded by roughly a drawer's worth of silverware. I remembered my late wife lovingly instructing me on the particulars of Rumburgian high tea etiquette. The outermost spoon was for spreading jam on scones. The middle spoon was exclusively for stirring tea, while the inner spoon was for eating other things. Just as the clock's fifth chime sounded, oh lordy, the Queen of Rumburg materialized in the doorway, flanked by her attendants. Raised to greet her. Oh, come on now. It's just the two of us. She gestured for me to sit down, then took her own seat across from me. White-gloved server came down and poured us both tea, then set down a tiny bowl of sugar. Yeah. Let's see. Stirring tea. Middle spoon. There we go. I picked up the middle spoon and used it to stir some sugar into my tea. Beatrice smiled approvingly. I wonder what would have happened if I used the wrong spoon. Would it have pissed her off? Would I be at war with someone else? Or would it have just affected our little meeting here? So how's that Warriors going? Great, swimmingly. We're on track to win the whole thing. You know it's impolite to bring up subjects over tea? About that, I think we could use Rumburg's help again. You're not kidding. It was ever so tragic the way you lost Operation Golden Shield despite Rumburg's doing its best to assist you. Now you seem to be stuck in the mire with no end in sight. The Alliance of Nations is turned against you. Correct me if I'm wrong, my dear, but it seems Rizia is rather fucked. Okay. Our server returned with a silver tray of piping hot scones and crystal ramekin of rose hip jam. That doesn't sound very good. Like toe jam. Boob sweat, maybe. Oh no. Okay. It was the outer spoon, right? As we're doing it live, could help me out. Outer spoon. You remembered your tea etiquette. I guessed lucky, bitch. I don't want to beg, but is there anything you could do for us? I'm afraid another military aid package is out of the question. All is peaceful in Rumburg so far, but with neighbors like ours, we must be prepared for the worst. What I can offer your Majesty is a chance for peace. I don't want peace. I want Gulf of Ales to run red with blood. I have only ever wanted peace. It is the Pelagians who are the warmongers. Palais is a speck of dust compared to Rumburg. Say the word and my kingdom will step in and broker a ceasefire. I confess I myself lack the patience for mediation, but my Foreign Affairs Department is very skilled at diffusing conflicts. Think about it. We could end this in a matter of days without another drop of blood shed. And without risking further damage to the Orion gas field, of course. I appreciate the offer, but Rizia is perfectly capable of winning the war. Just give us time. Rumburg has too many conflicts of interest. You're far from a neutral third party. Probably not the best idea to say that to her. And what would be in it? See, I'm kind of boxed into a corner by my own actions, so we're going to go the route of groveling, kind of. I accept your offer. It's time to end the Palais War. She paused as our server used a fine bristled brush to sweep the scone crumbs off our table. As you wish, King Romus. I will make the arrangements at once. She took a sip of her tea. Two more servers delicately put down a towering... Oh, crap. Inner spoon, middle spoon, inner spoon. Fuck it. Well done. The fate of the world is determined by the civilized, after all. Tea is for weaklings. Without etiquette, we are primates. Thank you once more for your assistance, Your Excellency. I will make it up to you one day. There we go. I want to be a monkey. We continued talking about the ceasefire arrangements as we finished our tea and sweets. The Palais War was finally going to end, but I wondered if Rizia would ever be the same. Game of spoons. Correctly finish high tea with the queen. Yeah. Yay. Go me. My kingdom is secure. News. Peace at last. In an unprecedented display of diplomacy and grace, Queen Beatrice of Rumburg has agreed to broker a ceasefire between our beloved Rizia and the Grand Duchy of Palais. This historic agreement shall mark the end of a conflict that has for too long marred the prosperity and security of both nations. Rumburg will act as a neutral mediator, navigating the complex negotiations with a steadfast commitment to peace and harmony. Rizia, under the wise leadership of His Majesty House Toras, has embraced the opportunity to foster a new era of peace and cooperation. Royal Herald lauds Queen Beatrice for her pivotal role in this monumental achievement and recognizes the foresight of His Majesty in facilitating this. Didn't really have a choice. It's not anything about foresight, it's about necessity and survival. Rumburg to mediate in Palais conflict. Okay. Zille referendum results. Oh. It was a sunny, beautiful day in JLA. From the tall windows of the hilltop mansion where I was staying, I saw Brennus locals frolicking on the beach beneath the colorful umbrellas. I sighed, longing for the sun and the sand. Instead, I was cooped up in a small room with my counselors. At least Pavel had managed to source a bottle of very rare champagne for me, as well as a golden saber to open it. Lorenzo came before me, bowed, and gestured towards the antique sofa in front of the television. It's about to begin, Your Majesty. He was referring to the Zille referendum, the event that would determine the future of our northernmost region, and the results. We were all inside on this gorgeous day. The reason we were all inside on this gorgeous day. Your Majesty. Lucida bowed and sat beside me. The ballot boxes were only 18% open. It was too early to say anything yet. We had to wait. What are your thoughts, Your Majesty? If the will of the people is to remain part of Wayland, I will respect that. Zille will vote to return to Rizia. I can't see this going any other day. Any other way. Whee. Not without a massive manipulation effort by Wayland. Which is, I'm sorry to say, entirely possible. An aide entered the room and whispered something into Lucida's ear. She got up and bowed once again. If you'll excuse me, Your Majesty, it seems I've received an urgent call. Yes, of course. Ballot boxes were 32% open. So far, around 21% of Zille citizens had voted no to joining with Wayland. The doors to the room swung open and Lucida rushed in. Your Majesty, I've received important news from our foreign intelligence. Initial numbers show that we are going to lose the referendum. We must act. In addition, we have evidence that Smolak's people are attempting to influence the referendum results. We found agents trying to intimidate voters and instigate violence. The interrogations show that they are directly linked to Wayland. We must act, Your Majesty, and with haste. We have all the contingency plans ready to launch at your command. I really would caution against doing anything rash at this point, Your Majesty. But it's your decision. If we're going to interfere, I suggest we act quickly. The TV host returned with the current numbers. The ballot boxes were 43% open. So far, around 35% of the residents had voted no to joining Wayland. Well, it's kind of going in our way. It doesn't look like their efforts are... Let's find out here. Your Majesty, we need a decision. Ballot boxes were 52% open. Everyone was staring at me, awaiting my decision. Suddenly, clarity. I knew what I had to do. We will not interfere with the referendum in any way. We will interfere with the Rizian armed forces. Our troops will enter Zille to protect the ballot boxes and make sure we get what we want, what is ours, back. Activate all the agents in Zille to try and make use of the chaos and steal the votes from our opponents. Make sure they're undercover. Alright, so this is one of those things where, well, at this point it probably doesn't really matter. I don't see things going very good for us, but... Oh... Let's protect the ballot boxes. Understood. I will come back with the results in a few hours before all the votes are counted. I must go as well, Your Majesty. Whatever happens next is bound to have major repercussions. I probably should have left it alone. I was more envious of the carefree beachgoers than ever. Okay. Referendum interference results. I don't know why they just didn't include this in this. Whatever. I was pacing back and forth in the JLA mansion, waiting to hear the results of the army deployment to Zille. What army? There was a knock on the door. I composed myself. Come in. Lucida entered the room again. Your Majesty, I'm afraid I have bad news. Our troops entered Zille, and immediately after I gave the order, the Wezek troops fell back as soon as we entered. We stationed soldiers at each of the election centers to protect the votes and oversee the process. Then the unthinkable happened. The citizens themselves started to push our soldiers back. There was heavy fighting in some areas. Well, that was a bad call. As to the Wezek troops falling back, they intentionally gave all of their equipment to the civilians in Zille. Our soldiers had to fall back from certain election centers to regroup. Unfortunately, we were no longer able to shield the referendum from Wayland's interference. Forgive me, Your Majesty. I am the one to blame. Go all Robert E. Lee on it. I can't let you take the whole blame, Your Majesty. The door opened and Lorenzo entered the room. He was holding a sheet of paper above his head. I can't see him doing that. Waving it around like a pom-pom. Your Majesty, the results are here. Unfortunately, we lost the referendum by a landslide. Seems like people reacted very strongly against the army coming in. Votes are 64% in favor of joining Wayland. But there's been another development. Please turn on the television. Turn on the television. Smolak was making an official state address blaming Rizia for the interference in the democratic election process. This will impact our public image heavily, Your Majesty. He will know my vengeance, I swear it. Who cares about Smolak? Zille is lost. Lorenzo fell silent as we both absorbed the magnitude of what had happened. Calls started ringing in every room. News traveled fast when it was bad. Jesus. This is going very bad. Nationwide destabilization imminent. The nation stands on the brink of nationwide destabilization driven by widespread protest and political upheaval. The government's response to these challenges will be critical in determining the country's future stability. The decision involves how to react to another round of mass protests, weighing options. There's nothing to be done. Give police and internal security apparatus full control. Give a conciliatory speech and declare full future abdication? Oh, well, I guess that's one way we could end the story. I'm going to give up. Nothing to be done. Despite our promises, the self-declared commune of Nelvisar has announced that it will continue existing, ousting local nobles from their positions of power. However, the former oil workers leading the efforts have announced the town will continue to pay taxes to Zille, as long as they're left alone. All right. Largest demonstration in Rizian history. Nearly 3.5 million people marched into Porte Drazon against our reign, making it the largest ever demonstration in Rizian history. Oh boy. What do we have here? Rizia's state and the Alliance of Nations. Alliance of Nations decisions in the past have caused peril for Rizia. There are talks about whether we should leave the organization once and for all. The organization seems to have other agendas that do not include our plans in Mercopa. If we decide to leave the Alliance of Nations, there will be repercussions. However, we are already seeing repercussions from being a part of it. I'm going to stay part of it. And we are on to the next part. Silla Orica. Okay. Grand Duchy of Palais. Duke Reinhardt offers... After Queen Livingston's talk with Duke Reinhardt, the Grand Duchy has reached out to us through official channels, offering an immediate ceasefire to discuss a peace treaty between our countries. The offered peace treaty dictates the immediate withdrawal of Rizian and Pelesian forces from the front lines, return of all occupied territories, the safe return of displaced populations and hostages, and, most importantly, agreeing to a pre-war borders between the two countries. Yep. We're losing authority now. Negative 18 on the budget, negative 8 on energy. Avoidance in provincial tax payments. Significant tax evasions in Brennus, Valencois, and Cardes-Monteclar pose a major challenge to Rizia's fiscal health. Alright. Well, that sucks. King gives up the fight. A coward's move? Wow, from the Royal Herald, too. King Romus has signed a ceasefire with Palais, essentially admitting defeat in the war against Palais. A series of military blunders has led to the situation with promise of imminent victory proven false, but instead of continuing the war, mobilizing more resources, and ensuring that Rizia emerges victorious in one last final battle, King Romus has chosen the coward's way out. Maybe it's time for someone more capable to take the throne. Ah, wow. Death isn't the end. Dear readers, citizens, loyal patriots of Rizia, I write to you lying in a puddle of my own blood, as my days appear numbered. This morning, Pelesian artillery started shelling the camp I was staying at, and I have sustained heavy injuries. Writing this is draining all my remaining energy. Pen in one hand, pistol in the other as I prepare to make my last stand against the advancing Pelesian hordes. Well, I guess it's a good thing I just declared peace there, Mark. I will die before I surrender. To final victory. Editor's note. The final part of the letter is unreadable, with the note recovered from Mark Ferris's body by another reporter who bravely delivered it to the Royal Herald. We will mourn his loss. Wow. State of the Pelesian War. When I entered the war room, General Tadius Azaro was in his wheelchair next to the window. Lucida was sitting at a table with her arms crossed. Your Majesty? Judging by his face, he had not slept whatsoever. He kept his gaze on the view outside the window. We have news from the front lines, Your Majesty. The Pelesian army has pushed us back from the border into the Palais Administrative District. We've lost Terrador and Fort Arles. The front lines is broken. There's no one to blame. We must look to the future. As kind as you are, we all know, Your Majesty, it is all my fault. Before we figure out who is to blame, I suggest we discuss what happens next. What's going on here, game? I don't know what to do here. This is obviously some type of bug. What's your decision? We will approach Palais and sue for peace, seems it's already there. All my life I was told I was meant for greatness. Yet here I am, defeated, unworthy. I can't even stand on my own 2 feet. Once again, presenting the same news that I delivered to King Valero so many years ago. My life has been nothing but a series of failures. There is always hope, no matter how dire the situation. Thank you. I am sorry for failing you. He turned to Lucida. I am sorry for failing you as well, Lucida. He turned his wheelchair towards me. Lucida helped him out of it. He bowed deeply before me. My liege, my king, I am so sorry. Command me, what are your orders? I send him to prison, deranking you to colonel. You will continue to serve the crown as you have. Okay. Well, that was obvious. Some type of bug, so hopefully it's the only one. Wow. Spending a lot of time abroad here. Treaty of Constantinium. After the ceasefire, we gathered in Thornborough to make the peace treaty official. Since Beatrice had played such an integral part in reaching the agreement, she was present in the meeting as well. Together with the Rizian delegates, we arrived in the heart of the city, where 2 iconic towers named the Tiers stood mirroring each other. We entered the western building and quickly made our way to the conference hall where the deal would take place. When the doors were open for us, I saw that Duke Reinhardt and Queen Beatrice were already seated at the table. After exchanging handshakes, Lorenzo and I took our seats as well. As the aides laid the treaty in front of us, he started speaking. Thank you once again for your cooperation, Your Grace. Welcome, gentlemen. Let's dive straight into it. As the Queen of Rumburg and the host of this meeting, I would like to congratulate both sides for enforcing a ceasefire. Thousands of people were expecting this for a long time. And as the mediator between Rizia and Palais, I would like to read the negotiated terms of peace as part of the Treaty of Thornburg. The Rizian and Pelesian armed forces will immediately withdraw from occupied territories, ensuring a return to the pre-war borders between the 2 countries. To River Alka in the north, the Rizian and Pelesian governments will ensure the safe return of all displaced populations as well as prisoners of war. As part of the peacekeeping efforts, Rumburg will provide humanitarian aid and support both governments in their restabilization of the region. She made a gesture to her assistants. They placed pens and copies of the treaty documents in front of Duke Reinhardt and me. First of all, my deepest gratitude to the Queen of Rumburg for supporting peace between our countries. I must say that Palais expected some compensation for the damages and the lives that were lost during the Rizian invasion. Despite this painful fact, I'm glad to have stopped the senseless bloodshed. I have many regrets over this war, but we must be proud that we put an end to it. At the very least, I would have also preferred the complete control of Aureus, Axel. Too bad it didn't work out. Thanks, sis. After he signed the paper, the assistant then passed them to me. After I signed them, everyone in the room quietly applauded. And today, peace prevails. Congratulations, Your Majesty. I'm glad the war has finally come to an end. We've achieved a lot today. With the treaty finalized, we left the building to announce the news to the world. The war was officially over. Okay. Peace signed at last. With the signing of the peace treaty between our two countries, the conflict between Rizia and Palais has finally come to an end. While no territorial changes occurred, the war has at least sent a strong message to the pleasing Duke Reinhardt that he is not to step on Rizia's toes again in the future. No border changes as Rizia and Palais cease hostilities. Okay. It's fine. Crew welcomes peace. Kingdom of Rumburg. After the ceasefire, we gathered in Thornborough to make the peace treaty official. Since Beatrice had played such an integral part in reaching the agreement, she was present at the meeting as well. Together with the Rizian delegate, we arrived in the heart of the city where the two iconic towers, named the Tiers, okay, well, we already did this. Hang on. Alright. So we now have a mixed global image. So we're not the pariah anymore. We're just kind of that uncle that nobody wants at the family reunions, I guess. What do we have to attend to now? Mass of violent protesters move towards Old Town. Vigil for the fallen. Thousands have gathered in Bronaz at the Bluamonte, largest military cemetery in the country, to commemorate those fallen in the Palais War. The mood is gloomy. At the cemetery, over 23,000 soldiers are buried in sober, white-colored graves. The unrest in the nation has escalated dramatically, with a large group of violent protesters advancing towards Old Town, perilously close to Palais Resna. The surge of aggression, marked by the destruction of property and threats to public safety, represents a significant threat to the stability of our capital. With national unrest spiraling, security forces are on high alert, tasked with containing the escalating situation. They can't touch me in Palais Resna. Morning in the palace. I think we're going to continue this in the next episode here. Well, we have peace. We have defeat. We're still losing a bit of money over everything. So, next episode might be the last. Story might continue on past that. Who knows? Anyway, if you like this episode, hit the like button. If you have any thoughts, tips, or advice, leave those in the comment section down below. If you want to follow along, I guess. This isn't going to be the last season of Suzerain. I might do another Rizia season. Haven't decided what, but if you don't want to miss that, hit the subscribe. And we'll finish this up probably in the next episode. J76NY saying thank you very much for watching and have yourself a very good day.